We'll start where we left last. I think we have done till aphorism 220. So we were doing this mental diseases, the one-sided diseases. So we'll continue with that part. So till now, Dr. Hahnemann has given us a basic principle on how to deal with the mental diseases, the psychological disorders. He will give more finer points in the coming 10 aphorisms. We will try to do from 221 to 230 today. 10 aphorisms we will try to finish. And he will give some fine points on how to deal with different kind of diseases in the same group, in the same mental diseases part. So we will start with aphorism 221. So if however insanity or mania, so we have been doing all those the reasons for the psychological disease, psychiatric diseases, how the mental diseases they come up. So till now we have understood that there is somewhere a physical phenomena, a phenomena of the physical disease, which has transferred to the organ of the mind. So it has been a process which have been going on from a long time. There have been few symptoms which have been seen regarding this phenomena, which may be part of disposition, which may be part of behavior, and they have now increased in this specific mental disease. Then we come to the second part. If, however, insanity or mania caused by fright, vexation, or the abuse of spirituous liquors, etc., have suddenly broken out as an acute disease. So, in some cases, this insanity or some kind of mania, it can also suddenly break out like an acute disease, because of some kind of causations where there can be fright, where there can be some kind of anger, where can be some kind of excitement. Because of that, sometimes this acute episodes of insanity or mania, they may break out in the patient's ordinary calm state. So I can recall a case of one of my known people. She works for me in the and this. Suddenly, I got a call from the clinic. I was on a holiday. It was a Thursday, so I had not gone to my clinic. So suddenly, I got a call from one of my assistant doctors that this particular person, she has gone into some kind of attack, into some kind of episode where she's not able to listen. She has just closed her eyes and she has started scratching herself. So there were two or three students who managed to get her and this get her on the sofa. They made her lie down, and then I reached the clinic and I saw that her eyes were closed. She was doing and she was scratching herself continuously, the whole body. She was scratching herself. So out of nowhere, the student, they told me that we were just talking and suddenly this thing started. So even some kind of mental disease or some kind of delirious states or some kind of insanity or mania, they may also come in the acute states. So what we have to do at that time is, although it almost always arises from the internal sora, the cause is the sora, no doubt, but it comes like an acute disease, like the other acute diseases also. When we have done this portion of the acute diseases, where we have done that sporadic one or the individual ones or those things, they all arise from the sora. The cause is always sora, but it is like a first time, or it is like sometime, a long time before it has happened and now it is happening. It comes like an episode. So like a flame bursting forth from it, yet when it occurs in this acute manner, it should not be immediately treated with antisorics. So what is the important thing to understand here is that when it comes like this, like any other acute, the way we approach the other acute diseases, it should not be treated with the antisoric or a constitutional medicine. We have to see what are the current symptoms, what is the characteristic of a current symptom, and then we have to prescribe accordingly. But in the first place, with remedies indicated for it out of the other class of proved medicaments. For example, aconite, belladonna, stramonium, hyoscyamus, mercury, etc. So we have to treat it as an acute disease, and whatever state is being present, like in that girl, there was this scratching, which was she was doing. And this is a very characteristic state of belladonna. Now that uh, person, she is not belladonna in a constitutional state, but that acute state was agreeing with that picture of belladonna. So she was given belladonna. We rubbed on her wrist, around her mouth, and I think within few seconds, she started coming back to her conscious state. She stopped doing that thing. She started, coming back to that state within few seconds. So, in highly potentized, minute homeopathic doses, in order to subdue it so far that the Sora shall for the time revert to its former latent state. So, what we are doing is we are giving an acute remedy in such a state so that we can take back the patient to that former state of Sora. This medicine is not going to cure Sora. This medicine is not going to cure her completely. But yes, she will be sent to that latent state, the latent state of the Sora. So to its former latent state, wherein the patient appears as if quite well. Now, Dr. Hahnemann, like I told you, that he chooses his words very carefully, wherein the patient appears as if quite well. That is the latent state of Sura. When we appear, everyone appeared to be quite well. We appear, we are not well. That is not a state of health. There is a latent stage of Sura which is going on. And Dr. Boeing Hassan, he basically writes a very beautiful line in his lesser writings. He has, in one of his essays, that this latent state of Sura is the state where the mental symptoms are more prominent. The behaviors are formed, the habits are formed, a kind of disposition of a person is being formed in this latent state of Sura. So it just shifts. It shifts to the other part. So because there are no physical signs, no physical symptoms, the journals are good, we don't feel anything. So we say that we are healthy. We are in a state of health. But a good physician, a good homeopathic physician will always know that no, this is not health. If something has disappeared completely and not gone into something more, in a lesser form, then that means that he is not cured. It has just gone to the latent stage of Sura. That is why it is very important. Like I have been telling this a long time. When some symptom disappears, where does it go? We have to understand that thing. Where has it gone? If an epilepsy has suddenly stopped, where has it gone? If someone was having some pains, some very bad pains, and they suddenly stopped, where have they gone? They should always go into a lesser symptom in a lower stage of the disease. Like, for example, epilepsy gets better and some rashes start appearing. Then we are okay. Okay. Some old symptoms, they start coming up. It is good. But then if it disappears and nothing is coming, that means that it has gone to that latent stage of Sura, from where it might come with a more forceful or powerful symptoms as compared to before. So now what we have to do when they go to the latent form of the Sura, Aphorism 222, but such a patient who has recovered from an acute mental or emotional disease by the use of these non-antisoric medicines should never be regarded as cured. We should never ever regard that patient as cured. The same thing was told when we were doing this acute diseases, that if you have given a medicine and the patient symptom have disappeared, don't regard it as cured. On the contrary, no time should be lost in attempting to free him completely by means of a prolonged antisoric treatment. We should immediately start an antisoric treatment. A constitutional medicine should be given to that patient, and this treatment is going to be prolonged. It is not going to be like this. Some old symptoms have to come, which have to go then some more old symptoms or a more lesser uh, important symptom, they have to come and go, so that this patient can get rid of the Sura from the chronic miasm of Sura, which it is true has now become once more latent, but is quite ready to break out anew. If we just leave it untreated, it might again break up with more violence, with more prominence. And it might be very difficult at that time to bring the patient back to that latent stage. If this be done, there is no fear of another similar attack if he attend faithfully to the diet and regimen prescribed for him. So if it is done, so then there will not be any fear of any similar attack. So the footnote to aphorism 222. It very rarely happens that a mental or emotional disease of long standing ceases spontaneously. So Dr. Heyman is saying that very rarely it may happen that some mental or emotional disease which have been going on from a long time, it suddenly disappears on its own. It very rarely happens. For the internal dyscrasia transfers itself again to the grosser corporeal organ, because for that to happen, the disease has to shift back to the physical organs. So this shift on its own, it happens very rarely. Such are the few cases met with now and the where a former inmate of madhouse has been dismissed, apparently recovered. So, because at the even now there are some hospitals or some centers which take care of the psychiatric patients. At that time, at the time of Dr. Hahnemann, there were few asylum, these kind of centers, which took care of such patients who have been suffering from some mental diseases. And because there were no other medicines, psychiatric medicines were not available, or they were not in a very good amount, or the people did not knew about this thing, the research was not like that, so they had to be kept in those kind of centers for a long time, sometimes even the whole life they have to be there. So he's saying that from such kind of mad houses, from such kind of centers, there are very very few cases where you see that a patient has been dismissed from that center and told that he has recovered. He had told, moreover, all madhouses have continued to be chokeful. He's saying that all such centers are chokeful, they are full, and no new admission can be done, so that the multitude of other insane persons who seek for admission into such institutions could scarcely find room in them unless some of the insane in the house died. So he's saying that they are so chokeful, they are so full that no, even if some new patient has to be entered into that facility, they will not get room there, and they can only be admitted if some old patient dies. Not one is ever really and permanently cured in them. So from his experience, he is saying that no one is basically permanently cured or really cured in these kind of centers. So he's basically telling us about the centers, the state of those centers, and the kind of treatment which was given to the patients at that time. A convincing proof among many other of the complete nullity of the non-healing art hitherto practiced, which has been ridiculously honored by the allopathic ostentation with the title of rational medicine. Because at that time, such patients, they were given electric shocks also, they were beaten also, they were given punishments also. So there were many kind of such processes or procedures which were done. And Dr. Hahnemann is talking about all those things, that this is not a medical art. How often, on the other hand, has not the true healing art, genuine pure homeopathy, been able to restore such unfortunate beings to the possession of their mental and corporeal health, and to give them back again to their delighted friends and to the world? And he's comparing that, on the other hand, when we see homeopathy, the medicines when we give in such patients, that their mental and physical health, they both recover, and they are basically uh, we can give them back to the family, we can give them back to the world, so that they can pursue their life, they can pursue whatever they want to do in their lives. So aphorism 223. What if the antisoric treatment be omitted? What happens if we don't give an antisoric treatment? If we don't give the patient the constitutional remedy after such kind of episode, then what will happen? Then we may almost assuredly expect from a much slighter cause than brought on the first attack of the insanity, the speedy occurrence of a new and more lasting and severe fit. So he's saying that if the antipsoric treatment is not given, then we can expect that even from a more slighter cause, even from a much lesser cause, this kind of attack may come again, which will be more severe, more long lasting, during which the sora usually develops itself completely, because the sora in that latent stage is going to develop. And once it is going to develop, once it has got that power, then it will show or express it in a more severe and a more lasting way, and passes into either a periodic or continued mental derangement. Then it will become an either an episodic derangement or a continued mental derangement, which is then more difficult to be cured by the antisorics. Okay, so like I was saying, that then it will become more difficult for us to cure that thing. So it is better that if such a patient comes to us, after such kind of episode, we have to start antisoric or these constitutional treatment immediately, although the patient appears to be in a healthy state. So if the mental diseases be not quite developed, and if it be still somewhat doubtful whether it really arose from a corporeal affection or did not rather result from faults of education, bad practices, corrupt morals, neglect of mind, superstition, or ignorance. So, like we have talked about it earlier also, that one are the diseases which are basically the true mental diseases, the true psychiatric diseases, which are coming from the corporeal affections. The physical symptom, they started disappearing, and suddenly this mental disease it started coming. And then some are result from our faults of education, the things which we have learned. For example, if in someone's family, the people they use abusive words, that they disrespect some the elders, or they disrespect people, and the child is learning that thing. So that is a fault of education. Some kind of bad practices have been going on. Someone is having some corrupt morals because he's seeing everyone corrupt around them. So neglection of mind or superstition or some kind of ignorance. Okay. So because of this thing also, someone might this come up with the some kind of habits or some kind of disposition, which we might feel that it can be a mental disease also. So but how to decide which is which one? So the mode of deciding this point will be that if it proceed from one or the other of the later causes. So if it is coming from some kind of fault of education, some bad practices, corrupt morals, from superstition, ignorance, if it is coming from there, later causes, it will diminish and be improved by sensible, friendly exhortations. So that can become better. It is just an education. You give a good education to that person and he can start becoming better. So when we give them some friendly advices, some consolatory arguments, we put some kind of arguments in front of them, some serious presentations and sensible advice, they will start becoming better. Okay. If someone is having some kind of for example, if someone is kind of in a habit of stealing. Okay, he just likes to take things which he like. So if he's suffering from the later cause, some bad education, if we make him sit, if it can tell that this is not thing, something belongs to someone, or it can give a pain to someone, that if you do things like this, and they start understanding that yes, it is a genuine thing which the person is saying, and they start getting better, then it is because of that faulty education. Whereas a real moral or mental malady, but if someone is a kleptomaniac, it has come as a disease to that person. A real moral or mental malady, depending on bodily disease, which is coming from that physical disease, which have been shifting to that part of the mind, would be speedily aggravated by such a course. That kind of patient will be aggravated by all these things when we are consoling them, when we are advising them, when we will tell them that this is because of the environment, or because of the education, or because of some things which you have not understand properly. So those patients, they will become more aggravated, they will not get better. So aggravated by such a course, the melancholic would become still more dejected. The person who is in a depression, who is in melancholy, if you start consoling him, they will become more sad. They will become more dejected. Querulous, inconsolable, and reserved. The spiteful maniac would thereby become still more exasperated. If there is some maniac, he will become more maniac when you are trying to calm him down. And the chattering fool would become manifestly more foolish. And if someone is speaking foolishly, talking foolishly, and you're just telling him or arguing with him that this is not like, he will become more foolish and he will argue more. So this is a way how to see which is the actual mental disease coming from, that shift of the sura, and which is because of the faulty education, because of something which he has picked up from his surroundings, which have been because of the superstition or some kind of ignorance. So this is a way how to make it, how to differentiate it. So there is a footnote to aphorism 224. It would seem as though the mind in these cases felt with uneasiness and grief the truth of these rational representations that acted upon the body as if it wished to restore the lost harmony. So he's saying that in these cases, which cases? The cases where the shift has come from the physical symptom to the mental symptom, the true mental diseases. He says that there is a kind of uneasiness and grief, that these representation where the person is telling me these advices, they are rational and acted upon the body as if it wished to restore the lost harmony, but that the body by means of its disease reacted upon the organs of the mind and disposition and put them in still greater disorder by a fresh transference of its suffering onto them. So he's saying that in these cases it feels that the mind, somewhere might be understanding, but the disease force is so strong, the disease which has shifted to the mental disease, it does not let those advices act on the reasoning of that mind, as if that disease has taken the complete control of the reasoning and intelligence, and it is not letting all those things, all those advices, all those consolations to act on it, and it puts up a more suffering in the patient. The disease produces fresh transference of its suffering onto them. There are, however, as has just been stated, certainly a few emotional diseases which have not merely been. Now, third one are the emotional diseases. We are coming to that part. So, there are, however, as has just been stated, certainly a few emotional diseases which have not merely been developed into that form out of corporeal diseases. So, now these emotional diseases have not developed from the physical diseases. Okay, but which in an inverse manner, the body being slightly indisposed, originate and are kept up by the emotional causes such as continued anxiety, worry, vexation, wrongs, and the frequent occurrence of great fear and fright. So now there are some emotional diseases which are dependent upon what we have been going through, some kind of stresses in the life, some kind of uh, situations which are around us, some kind of things which have been happening in the past, or something which we are anticipating in the future. All those kind of things, they can bring out some emotional diseases in us. They are not actually developed from the physical symptoms, but it is in the inverse manner that these emotional diseases can basically start uh, damaging our physical health. So this kind of emotional diseases in time destroys the corporal health. So in a reverse manner, we have seen this many times. Like for example, there was some death in the family, the patient, they got grieved, the grief went much deeper in the patient, and after some time that grief started taking the whole economy and weakening the patient, the mind and the physical health of the body. And these kind of diseases, we call them as the emotional diseases, which started with some kind of emotion on the organ of the mind, and then it started destroying the physical health, often to a great degree. So it is only such emotional diseases as these which are first engendered and subsequently kept up by the mind itself, that while they are yet recent and before they have made very great inroads on the corporeal state, may by means of psychical remedies. Okay. So now what we have to do is that when we see a patient who has just started with this kind of emotional disease, suddenly something has happened. And we can see that this now, there are two ways how we tackle with situations which are around us. Two or three ways. One thing is we get an emotional state, some kind of grief, some kind of anxiety. That thing is resolved. If it is of low intensity, it is resolved, or we try to resolve it. For example, there is death, we try to overcome that state, we try to manage ourselves by some kind of consolation, some kind of meditation, and we get out of it. The second is that the mind, it starts keeping it up, you know. uh, because again it will come down to the same thing, that if it is happening, it will be because of the sora, because of the sensitivity of the patient. So if it is that the mind is still keeping it up, you know, although everyone is giving that kind of advice, that kind of everything is there, everyone is there for the patient, but they are still keeping it up, keeping it in mind. So now we know that in such a patient, you know, the physical health, if it keeps going on, the physical health is going to get destroyed. It is going to get affected. So what is there? We can do it maybe by means of psychical remedy. The first thing is that we have to give some psychical remedy, such as a display of confidence. Again, that, you know, we should have confidence in that person. For example, if someone is feeling low on confidence, we show them that no, we are confident about you. That may provide confidence to the patient. A dejected person, he might find confidence from your confidence. Some friendly exhortations, some friendly advices, some sensible advices, and often by a well disguised deception. Be rapid. Sometimes we also, you have to, you know, use something in a disguised way, in a deceptive way, but for the good of the patient. Okay. Sometimes we have to give a fear to the patient to take away the another fear. Like, for example, recently, one of my patients, he was, you know, he was basically slightly worried about his health, that something is happening, what it could be. Tell me the test, tell me the test. He would always come to the clinic and, doctor, just tell me the test. What test should I do? And I just, because he was like, this is also like cures like, similia similibus currenter. Give him an extra fear. I said that, okay, you are so worried right now because nothing is coming in your tests. You are so afraid and you're so worried. What will happen to you if something comes up? Just think about it. If something comes up in that test, because right now nothing is coming in any of the tests. So if something comes up in that test, what will happen to you? And he was suddenly taken aback, that because he has not thought up to that level. If something comes up, then what? And suddenly he said that I will die on the spot. So I said that, why are you, trying to find a way to die? Just live. Just be happy that there is nothing coming in the test. You are having a good thing. Your health is becoming more better. Why you are, so eager to find something? And that is a, a well disguised deception that you have to give to the patient. Sometimes the answer should come. You should put a question like this, that the answer should come from inside, awakening the patient. The enlightenment should come from inside. You should put a question like this, then that what will happen if something comes up? And then the patient starts thinking, in a more uh, wider way, or in a more elaborative way about his state. So be rapidly change into healthy state of mind, and with appropriate diet and regimen, seemingly into a healthy state of the body also. So sometimes these psychical remedies, they help us to bring out a patient out of that emotional disease. But the fundamental cause in these cases also is a psoric miasm. We always have to keep this in mind. that if a patient is not letting it go, then the somewhere the mental state or the state of mind has become like that, that the psoric miasm has infested that state, which was only not yet quite near its full development. And for security's sake, the seemingly cured patient should be subjected to a radical antisoric treatment in order that he may not again, as might easily occur, fall into a similar state of mental disease. So, although it is a cure, we feel that he has been cured or she has been cured, but it is seemingly, not really. So, we should not take a chance. Even in such cases, we should give them an antisoric treatment, which basically, whatever their state is at that time, we should give them a constitutional treatment so that they do not fall into these kind of mental diseases yet again. So, in mental and emotional diseases resulting from corporeal maladies, which can only be cured by homeopathic antisoric medicine conjoined with carefully regulated mode of life, an appropriate psychical behavior toward the patient on the part of those about him and of the physician must be scrupulously observed. So, in addition to the homeopathic medicine, okay, for the real mental diseases, the mental diseases which have resulted from the shift of the physical symptoms to the organ of the mind, with along with the homeopathic medicines, we also have to, it is very important, this part, that we also have to guide the attendants of the patient and the physician. He himself should be aware of this thing, that how he has to behave or the patient's attendant has to behave around the patient, because our behavior, sometimes I have seen in many cases where the parents or the attendants, they are not able to understand that how they have to behave, that it can become an obstacle to the cure of the patient. So we have to guide them. Especially recently we are having these cases of autism in the children. So we have to guide the patient parents in a way that how they have to be around this child. And sometimes the parents, they do not understand in one time. So we have to guide them again and again and again. We have to keep uh, we have to be observant and keep an eye how they are behaving with the child, so that they can be guided, because they need that kind of guidance. So first we have to be aware how we have to behave. So it should be scrupulously observed, very carefully observed, by way of an auxiliary mental regimen. So it should be a mental regimen, it should be a mental routine which we have to develop. To furious mania, we must oppose calm, intrepidity, and cool. If someone is a maniac, if someone is getting angry, if someone is getting uh, this going into rage, we have to tell ourselves also, we have to train ourselves and tell the attendants also that we must oppose calm and cool behavior around them. We have to be very calm when they are in that state. If the parents or the attendant, they start becoming angry, they will become more angry, it will aggravate them. We have to be calm, cool, but of firm resolution. We should not cave in to their anger. We should be firm that this is wrong, what you are doing. But it should be in a calm and cool way, but with firm resolution. We should not cave in. The parents or the this attendants, they should not cave in to that furious mania. To doleful, querulous lamentation, a mute of display of commiseration. If someone is quarrelful, lamenting, continuously complaining about something, continuously being irritable, there should be mute display of commiseration. We should not at all uh, talk with them. We should not look to them. We should not do any kind of gesture. Okay, so a complete ignorance to that kind of patient where they are querulous, where they are, because you say anything, they will pick it up and they will quarrel about it. They will become irritable about it if you say anything. To senseless chattering, a silence not wholly attentive. If someone is chattering, speaking, talking, you should not talk with them. You should not tell them to stop. So complete silence, but not wholly inattentive. You should be attentive towards them, not completely inattentive. Okay, it should be shown in a way that you are not giving attention, but your ears should be toward that, chattering what they are talking about, to disgusting and abominable conduct, and to the conversation of similar character, total inattention. If someone is lascivious, if someone is talking in that way, if someone is doing a conversation or a conduct like that, there should be a total inattention towards that person. No, not even looking, not even talking, no complete inattention. So we must merely endeavor to prevent the destruction and injury of surrounding objects. Okay, so the endeavor should be to prevent the destruction and injury of the patient, of the attendants, or the surrounding things, without reproaching the patient for his acts. While we should not at all reproach patient for what he or she is doing, because they are not in their senses. And if we reproach them, if we somehow try to punish them, or somehow try to make them understand in the way we understand, it is going to aggravate everything. And everything must be arranged in such a way that the necessity for any corporeal punishments and tortures, whatever, may be avoided. Even in the clinic, we should not keep things which can harm such kind of patients, which can be broken, or some kind of injury may be conducted to the doctor, to the attendant. So if you know that some kind of patient which is like this, like I have a girl of 18 or 19 years, when she comes into the clinic or when the parents are calling, so I tell everyone, just remove these things, just remove them. So we have to be very proactive in understanding what these patients are suffering from, what the attendants are suffering from. We have to guide the attendants and the parents how they have to behave, so that the patient does not become aggravated more. This is so much the more easily affected, because in the administration of the medicine, the only circumstance in which the employment of coercion could be justified in the homeopathic system, the sorry so this is so much the more easily affected, because in the administration of the medicine, the only circumstance in which the employment of coercion could be justified. So Dr. Hahnemann is saying that the only circumstance in which coercion means, we have to do against the wishes of the patient. We have to do something against the wishes of the patient, is giving the medicine. If the patient is not taking the medicine, only at that time the coercion is justified. The employment of coercion, or that this thing is justified, because in the administration, only in the administration of the medicine. In the homeopathic system, the small doses of the appropriate medicine never offend the taste, because it is small taste. So Dr. Hahnemann was so careful. Sometimes some things which he has written, when you read, you can see that deep state of sympathy and compassion of Dr. Hahnemann, that he is even telling us that, even the taste should not be offended of the patient while giving the medicine. He was going to that uh, level of compassion, where he's thinking about a patient who is suffering from a mental disease, and he's thinking of in a term of sympathy, that you should not do any punishment or coercion with such a patient. Even homeopathic medicine, they don't offend the taste of the patient, because that is also kind of coercion, or that is also kind of torture, to offend the taste of such patient, and may consequently be given to the patient without his knowledge and his drinks, so that all compulsion is unnecessary. So even don't coerce for taking medicine, just give the medicine in some drink of his without their knowledge, so that any kind of compulsion is unnecessary. Don't compel the patient to do anything. So sympathetic, so compassionate. uh, you know you can see the personality of a person from his words, that he know that what kind of disease these patients are suffering. He was horrified by the idea that these patients have been taken away from the society and put into those madhouses, into those centers where they are tortured, where they are, not taken care as a human being. They have been left on their fate and no medicine is being given to them. He's so much concerned about such patients because that is a heart or that is a soul from where the homeopathy has originated. And that is why I always say that we can never understand homeopathy if we don't have that kind of heart or that kind of compassion or sympathy in our being, which is required to understand homeopathy. Because homeopathy is not some practical system, it has to be felt. The whole system was developed, the whole system was discovered out of this feeling which Dr. Hahnemann had towards patient, that whenever I give my medicine, the allopathic medicine to the patient, they are more suffering. So he stopped his practice. Such great compassion that he has stopped, he has thrown away his practice because his patients were, because he would leave his patients worse after giving the medicine than before he found them. So that is from where this homeopathy has been discovered. We have to uh, get in touch, get in tune with this feeling of homeopathy, and then it starts coming on its own. Then you don't have to put much effort. So footnote to aphorism 228, it is impossible not to marvel at the the same thing. It is impossible not to marvel at the hard-heartedness and indiscretion of the medical men in many establishments for patients of this kind, not only in England but also in Germany, who, without attempting to discover the true and only efficacious mode of curing such diseases, which is by the homeopathic medicinal antisoric means, content themselves with torturing these most pitiable. Again, the way he felt pity for those patients of all human beings without the most violent blows and other painful torments. By this unconscientious and revolting procedure, they debase themselves beneath the level of turnkeys in a house of correction, for the latter inflict such chastisements at the duty devolving on their office and on criminals only, whilst the former appear from a humiliating consciousness of their uselessness as physicians. So he's saying that it is, how can the people be so hard-hearted? The people of medicine, the people who call themselves medical men, they are in these kind of establishments in England, in Germany, other places, and they are so hard-hearted that just because they do not want to give this efficacious mode of homeopathic treatment to those patients, they use torments, they use violent blows, they will beat them up, they will use other painful torments to treat these patients, these pitiable of all human beings. Because other diseased human beings, they are at least in their conscious level, they can understand what is right, what is wrong. These patients, they are not able to understand, they are the most pitiable of all those. And those houses, those establishments, they were torturing them, they were beating them, they were using electric shocks on them, they were using other procedures. Like I have studied about uh, a way of surgery where they will put a scalpel and they will remove, they will just erode the forebrain, they will injure the forebrain of the such patients, and they will be like a vegetable for their whole life. So even those kind of unhuman treatments were given to those patients. So he's saying that they are just like the people who are at correction centers in the this prisons. But the only difference is that there is a duty of an officer and they are treating like that with the criminals. But here, a physician is doing this thing because of his uselessness. What is the usefulness of a physician? That a physician should be able to cure a patient. If he is not able to cure a patient, then this is not the way how they should treat their patients, only to vent their spite at the apparent incurability of mental diseases in harshness towards the pitiable innocent sufferers. So he's saying that just to vent their spite, just to vent their resentment that they are not able to do anything for these patients, they will harm them. They'll be harsh towards them. Though they are the innocent sufferers, those patients, and they are punishing them, they are beating them, for they are too ignorant to be of any use and too indolent to adopt a judicious mode of treatment. So, on the other hand, contradiction, eager explanations, rude corrections, and invectives, as also weak, timorous yielding, are quite out of place with such patients. So, these things should never be done with such patients. We should not be eagerly explaining them, contradicting them, rude corrections, rudely speaking with them, trying to correct them, or some kind of physical means. And also, we should not be yielding or, be weak in front of them. There should be firmness, but there should be ignorance also. They are equally pernicious modes of treating mental and emotional diseases. They are very dangerous modes of treating these kind of maladies or these kind of diseases. But such patients are most of all aggravated, and their complaint aggravated by contumely, fraud, and deception that they can detect. These patients, they are not incapacitated to detect some kind of fraud or deception. They know that you are, telling a lie, or someone is telling a lie, or someone is trying to fraud them or deceive them. Especially the schizophrenic patients, or they are very suspicious already. So they can make out if someone is doing something with them. The physician and keeper must always pretend to believe them to be possessed of reason. So we have to pretend that they are possessed of reason. The physician and the attendant, they should always pretend that yes, we believe in you. Okay. So when they're telling something, you should not deny it. Just be a little inattentive. Keep writing whatever they are saying. Just be inattentive. Don't ask them more. Let them be what they want to tell. But don't, kind of contradict them or try to reason with them. All kinds of external disturbing influences on their senses and dispositions should be, if possible, removed. Any kind of senses, any kind of disturbances which can be strong for them, any kind of influences, they should be removed. There are no amusements for their clouded spirit, no salutary distractions, no means of instruction, no soothing effects from conversation, books or other things for the soul that pines or frets in the chains of diseased body. They should not be given any books to read. Nowadays, I always tell them that don't let them see news, YouTube. Don't let them surf the internet, because they will that becomes the same thing. That is a disturbing influence for them. If someone, uh, like for example, I have told you about a case of Lekises who used to have, this kind of, who would hear sounds that someone is planning some attack on the country or planning to harm someone, and he will go to the police, he will tell to the, other institution that I can hear them conspiring. So if a YouTube is given to such a patient and he starts listening to the conspiracy theories, then that would make his mind more solid that he whatever is happening is right. So these patients, they should not be given any kind of disturbing influence, anything, any kind of thought or thought provoking thing. They should never be given. If a person is religious or he has gone into a religious mania, he should not be given more religious books or more religious instructions or more religious this thing. No, that is going to aggravate him. Okay. Because Dr. Hanuman said that for the it is a soul that pines or frets in the chains of a diseased body. It is like that they are chained in this diseased body, and all these things, they are going to get aggravated. No invigoration for it, but the care. We should just care it for them, but not should not give anything which can invigorate them. which can get them excited. It is only when the bodily health is changed for the better that the tranquility and comfort again beam upon their mind. Only when they start becoming healthy in their body, the tranquility or comfort will come only at that time. So the patient, the attendants, the parents should be told not to do such things. We also should not advise such things because it is not going to help. On the contrary, it is going to. I never tell such kind of patients or their attendants. Recently, one of such patients' parents, they told me you should advise him to meditate, and never tell him to meditate. He can even get this mania of meditation, and it will be more difficult to cure. Then it will be more difficult, you know because that reason is absent. When I tell some healthier person that you should meditate, he will meditate because of reason. There is reasoning that why I should meditate. It is going to calm me. It is, I will be more in control of myself. I will more be in control of this thing. Sometimes the people who meditate, it increases their ego. It increases their already diseased ego haughtiness, and they may go into some kind of retrum kind of manias or sulfur kind of manias. So never advise to listen to something, never advise them for some kind of motivation, never advise them for some kind of meditation at that time. We have to understand this thing, that the reasoning is not there. Emotional diseases, yes, these things can help, like we have talked. Or there is some behavior which has developed from faulty education from the surroundings. Yes, these things can help. Some motivation can help, some meditation, listening to something, these can help at that time, but not in such cases. So as a physician, we have to first differentiate which case is which, and then we have to advise accordingly. So if the antipsoric remedy is selected for each particular case of mental or emotional disease, there are incredibly numerous varieties of them. So we have numerous varieties of antipsoric remedies. We have homeopathic remedies. Be quite homeopathically suited for the faithfully traced picture of the morbid state, which, if there be a sufficient number of this kind of medicines, known in respect of their pure effects, is attained by an indefatigable search for the most appropriate homeopathic remedy, all the more easily as the emotional and mental state constituting the principal symptom of such a patient is so unmistakably perceptible. So, among all the antipsoric remedies which are known to us, we have to faithfully trace the picture of this state, the characteristic of the principal symptom of the mind, and then we have to find, or we have to search for that remedy which is appropriate homeopathic remedy, which is homeopathically suited to this case. Then the most striking improvement in no very long time, which could not be brought about by physicking the patient to, sorry, I think there is something. Let me check. 30. Okay. Yeah. So if we find such a remedy, we will find a striking improvement in no very long time. Okay. In very small time, we can see striking improvement in the behavior, in the emotional part, in the mental part of that patient, which could not be bring up by the off repeated of all other unsuitable allopathic medicines. The medicines which were taking him towards death, the patient towards the death, because of the by numbing his brain, by sedating his brain. So it was taking patient towards the death, and you can see the improvement when the patient, although they are on these sedatives, when they come to us nowadays, they're already taking some psychiatric medicine, they are already taking some sedatives. But when you give a right remedy, a right homeopathic remedy to that patient, the kind of difference that remedy brings in the patient has not seen, or the attendants have not seen in, from the years which the allopathic medicine he they were taking. Okay. So the allopathic medicine, it was managing the patient by benumbing or sedating. But that kind of love towards life, or the reasoning, or that intellect which suddenly develops after the right homeopathic remedy, they have not seen in past many, many years in the patient. So that is a beautiful picture to see when the attendants of such patients come. Like I have seen these cases. I have seen the mother. I can, because those are the experiences. I still remember that mother of a boy, 19 20 years old boy, who was, was tried 2 to 3 times to commit suicide, and he was in a very, very bad state of mind, and he did not like himself. He was so much, kind of disgusted by himself. And they were giving him antidepressants, they were giving him, all those medicines. And after one single dose of Cilicia 10 after 1 month, the mother, she cried, and she was so happy. And the words were that I got my son back after 5 years. These were her words, that my son is back. She said that it is as if, your son was lost somewhere and suddenly he came back home. So that, even in that boy from past 5 years, the medicines, the allopathic medicine, they were managing him, not, he was not pushing himself to that part, although those thoughts will come. But the prevailing of the sanity, coming back of reason, coming back of that love of life, that I want to live, that is an amazing, which cannot be described in words. It has to be felt. It is amazing. So this thing, when now you read it with that kind of experience, then you get it. Yes, it is a very beautiful thing which Dr. Hahnemann has written here, that although these patients have been taken medicines from a long time and they were getting more bad in their health, and suddenly with that kind of thing, a striking improvement comes. Striking. It strikes you. It strikes the patient. It strikes the um, parents, the attendants of the patient. It strikes you. Indeed, I can confidently assert from great experience that the vast superiority of the homeopathic system over all other conceivable methods of treatment is nowhere displayed in a more triumphant light than in mental and emotional diseases of long standing, which originally sprang from corporeal maladies or were developed simultaneously with them. So he's saying that from Dr. Hahnemann is saying that from my experience, I can say that in this particular aspect of the mental diseases, of the emotional diseases, there is no superior medicinal system which can show or display the triumph, the win, or the cure as the homeopathic system can show. And Dr. Hahnemann's experience have become my experience. And when it becomes your experience, in some of you have experienced this thing, some who have not, when it becomes your experience, especially in such cases, you will be on a completely another level. And then you come back and read the aphorism 230 again, and then you can feel that yes, all these words are true. Because I always say that the right belief, the belief system are of two, uh, you can say, there is believing, and then there is a faith. Faith is next level. Faith comes from experience. Believing is okay, he is believing, that is believing, 5 or 10% are believing, there might be something to believe, that is believing. But faith comes with experience. When you see that happening in front of you, then the faith comes, which cannot go away. Then it can never go away. Whatever anyone says, whatever happens, that faith cannot go away. Belief, it can go anywhere. Today you are believing, tomorrow you might not be believing. If you get to listen to something which is quite opposite. That is with the belief. But faith has to come from that experience. It has to come with a feeling. Feeling can only come with an experience. Then the faith sets in. And once you see that thing happening, you will be, you know, every word of this aphorism will feel true. It will feel completely true with your being. Okay. So we have done till aphorism 230. There is a small this thing to differentiate. You can take a, I can make it, let me see if I can get it on a whole screen. You can take a screenshot if you want. So these are the types, three types of the diseases. The physical diseases advancing and transferring to the organ of mind. Okay, when the physical diseases or the symptoms are shifting or transferring to the organ of the mind. Then the acutely manifested mental diseases, and the third are mental diseases developed out of circumstantial and situational causes, faults of education, wrongs, vexations, corrupt morals, or some kind of uh, grief, anxiety, all that kind. There is a fourth type I have not added, but maybe you can type where the emotional disease they start affecting the physical health, but they will come in the fourth, and this third part is the same. So treatment, proper constitutional simillimum antisoric is required. In acute one, the acute manifestation is to be treated first. After the attack subsides, immediately antisoric should be given. Usually subside by psychical and moral remedies like friendly interference, comforting, reasoning, sensible advice, but afterwards should be given a constitutional simillimum. Causation is all sora. They are all caused by sora. Okay. So we have done 10 aphorisms today, and we'll take a leave. I will take a leave from you at this time. Uh, like again, I will tell you that during the week, go through these 10 aphorisms. If you have been practicing from a long time, try to recall those patients, those experiences. If you have seen cases like these, just try to get in feel with these words. Words are only words until and unless they provoke a thought process in you. I have been talking from 1 hour. Whatever I am saying, these are only words. But these words, they become helpful when they provoke a feeling and a thought process in a person. Then they become meaningful. Until then, they do not have any meaning. They are just words written in some book, kept on a shelf, kept on a table for many, many years. So just go and read them and feel how you feel about them. Hold on to that feeling. Like I told you in the words, when you read them, what Dr. Hahnemann has written, it produces that feeling of compassion and sympathy towards these kind of patients. That is important. A physician without a heart is not a physician. It's just like some machine which have been working from 35 years, 40 years. The heart always tells us to be sympathetic, to love the patients, to listen to them, to be careful with them, to be patient with them when they are telling something, when they are, telling about their even the personal problems. If you have a good heart, you can listen to someone's, because sometimes a person only needs ear. They just want to say something, they just want to tell something, and if you can give your time and your ear to them, just listen to them, they get half cured. They start feeling half. Many patients, they come to the clinic, even most of you also have experienced this. When you listen to them, when they hear to them that catharsis, they start feeling better. They will tell you that, I have come here, I have met you, I have felt very good. So that is what tells you that what is required of a physician. So these words, they amplify that feeling. So again, a request that just during this 1 week, go through them. Next week, next Wednesday, we will start with aphorism 231, and we will start with the intermittent diseases, the alternating diseases or the intermittent diseases, and how we have to go along with them. So till then, thank you, good night, and have a good week. Thank you.